Get ready. 3 seconds to go. Start. In a village in Hindustan, there once lived a merchant who, although he rose early, worked hard, and rested late, remained very poor, and ill luck so dogged him that he determined at last to go to some distant country and there to try his fortune. 12 years passed by, his luck had turned, and now he had gathered great wealth so that having plenty to keep him in comfort for the rest of his days, he thought once more of his native village where he desired to spend the remainder of his life among his own people. In order to carry his riches with him in safety over the many weary miles that lay between him and his home. He bought some magnificent jewels, which he locked up in a little box and wore concealed upon his person, and so as not to draw the attention of the thieves who infested the highways and made their living by robbing travelers, he started off in the poor clothes of a man who has nothing to lose. Thus prepared, he travelled quickly, and within a few days' journey from his own village came to a city where he determined to buy better garments, and now that he was no longer afraid of thieves, to look more like the rich man he had become. In his new raiment he approached the city, and near the great gate he found a bazaar where amongst many shops filled with costly silks and carpets and goods of all countries was one finer than all the rest. There amidst his goods spread out to the best advantage sat the owner, smoking a long silver pipe, and thither the merchant bent his steps and saluting the owner politely sat down also and began to make some purchases. Now the proprietor of the shop, Bika Mull by name, was a very shrewd man, and as he and the merchant conversed, he soon felt sure that his customer was richer than he seemed and was trying to conceal the fact. Certain purchases have been made. He invited the new comer to refresh himself, and in a short time they were chatting pleasantly together. In the course of the conversation, Bika Mull asked the merchant whither he was travelling, and hearing the name of the village, he observed, "Ah, you had better be careful on that road. It's a very bad place for thieves." The merchant turned pale at these words. It would be such a bitter thing, he thought, just at the end of his journey, to be robbed of all the fortune he had heaped up with such care. But this bland and prosperous Bika Mul must surely know best, so presently he said, Lala ji, could you oblige me by locking up for me a small box for a short while? When once I get to my village, I could bring back half a dozen sturdy men of my own kinsfolk and claim it again. The Lala shook his head. I could not do it, replied he. I am sorry, but such things are not my business. I should be afraid to undertake it. But, pleaded the merchant, I know no one in this city, and you must surely have some place where you keep your own precious things. Do this, I pray you, as a great favor. Still, Bika Mul politely but firmly refused, but the merchant, feeling that he had now betrayed the fact that he was richer than he seemed, and being loath to make more people aware of it by inquiring elsewhere, continued to press him until at last he consented. The merchant produced the little box of jewels, and Bika Mul locked it up for him in a strong chest with other precious stones, and so, with many promises and compliments, they parted. In a place like an eastern bazaar, where the shops lie with wide open fronts, and with their goods displayed not only within but without, on terraces and verandas raised a few feet above the public roadway, such a long talk as that between Bikamul and the merchant could not but attract some attention from the other shopkeepers in a narrow street. If the merchant had but known it, nearly every shop owner in that district was a thief, and the cleverest and biggest of all was Bika Mul. But he did not know it. Only he could not help feeling a little uneasy at having thus parted with all his wealth to a stranger, and so, as he wandered down the street making a purchase here and there, he managed in one way and another to ask some questions about the honesty of Bika Mul, and each rascal whom he spoke to, knowing that there was some good reason in the question, and hoping to get in return some share of the spoils, replied in praise of Bikamul as a model of all the virtues. In this way the merchant's fears were stilled, and with a comparatively light heart, he travelled on to his village, and within a week or so returned to the city with half a dozen sturdy young nephews and friends whom he had enlisted to help him carry home his precious box. At the great market place in the center of the city, the merchant left his friends, saying that he would go and get the box of jewels and rejoin them, to which they consented, and away he went. Arrived at the shop of Bikamul, he went up and saluted him. "Good day, Lalaji," said he. But the Lala pretended not to see him, so he repeated the salutation. "What do you want?" snapped Bika Mul. "You have said your goodbye twice. Why don't you tell me your business? Don't you remember me?" asked the merchant. "Remember, you growled. The other, no, why should I? I have plenty to do to remember good customers without trying to remember every beggar who comes winning for charity." When he heard this, the merchant began to tremble. Full stop. Excuse me, friends. So this was the first part of the story, and the next part I will upload on the next video. So till then, stay tuned, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this story series.